Alright, so now we're going to talk about similar polygons, okay? But first we have to tell you what similar is. Two polygons are similar if corresponding angles are the exact same. The word for the exact same in geometry is congruent. So if corresponding angles are congruent and corresponding sides are proportional. And remember, proportional means that the ratios are equal or they have the same scale factor, okay? So when you guys see this symbol right here, that's going to represent that two figures are similar, okay? When we want to say that two figures are similar, we will use a similarity statement. For example, DJM, the triangle DJM is similar to triangle RIC, okay? So let's look at example number 1. Our goal is to answer the question, are these two triangles similar? Is triangle ABC similar to triangle Z? There's actually a typo here. I would like you guys to change this to triangle ZXY, okay? So there are some steps here to help you out if you forget how to prove this. But I do want to make sure that you show your work on every step. So the first thing that we want to do is actually match up the angles and sides. So we've done this before. The first letter A is going to go with the first letter Z. Now corresponding angles are congruent, so I'm going to use tick marks. I'm hoping that A is congruent to Z. They're both 70. That's a good step, okay? B should go with X. Angle B is 50. Oh, I don't know angle X yet, okay? But I'm hoping that it's 50. Okay, and then last but not least, C should go with Y. So I'm going to put 3 tick marks on C and 3 tick marks on Y. And again, I don't know angle C, but I should look for it. Okay. Now let's match up the sides. Sides are not congruent. Sides are proportional, so I do not want to use tick marks here. Okay. I'm actually going to use some shapes so I can distinguish the difference. So the side AB, the first 2 letters, go with the first 2 letters in the other triangle. So 18AB will go with ZX, that's the 6. I'm going to put 2 circles around there to show that those go together. Okay? And then I have the second 2 letters, BC. BC is going to go with XY. I'm going to put a square around BC and a square around XY to show that those 2 sides are corresponding. And then the last sides, those sides will go together. Okay? So remember, the 2 things that we always need to check. We need to check that angles are congruent and that sides are proportional. So let's start with the angles. We already knew A and Z were congruent, okay, but we had said we have to find angle X. So if you remember from the previous units, in a triangle, all angles have to add up to 180. So if I do 70 plus 60, that's 130. 180 minus 130. And I get 50. And now X and B are both the same, and that means that the last angles will have to be the same as well. C and Y will also be 60. Okay? So we've checked it off. I know that the angles, the corresponding angles, are congruent. Now let's check the corresponding sides. Okay? Sides are proportional, which means they need to have those same ratios. So let's actually set up the 3 different ratios that I have. Okay? Make sure you're always putting the same triangle in the numerator and denominator each time. I'll show you what I mean by that. Okay? So let's focus on this triangle ABC. The 3 sides that come from triangle ABC are 18, 12, and 15. Notice all 3 of those sides went in the numerator. Okay? And then the 3 sides from the other triangle, those are all going to go in the denominator, but we're going to match them up. 18 goes with 6, so I'm going to put 18 over 6 here. 12 goes with 4, so I'm going to do 12 over 4. And then 15 over 5. Okay? If you remember what we did with scale factors and showing that ratios were proportional, okay, what we can see is 18 divided by 6 is 3, 12 divided by 4 is 3, and 15 divided by 5 is 3. Okay? So all 3 of these ratios have the same scale factor. Basically, this smaller triangle is scaled up by 3 each time, which means the sides are proportional. Okay? So we've now checked off the sides. So my answer is yes. And I have the work to show it. Let's look at example number 2. Is ABCD similar to LPNM? Make sure to show your work, okay? What's important right now is to remember there's 2 things we have to check. We have to check the angles and we have to check the sides. Okay? Remember, we're checking that angles are congruent and that sides are proportional. So let's first match up the angles and sides. Well, if I'm looking at these angles, these are rectangles. So all of these angles here are 90 degrees. At that point, I'm done checking the angles, okay? No matter which angle A matches up with in the other triangle, it's automatically going to be congruent because we know they all have to be 90, okay? So in this problem, I don't have to worry about the angles. What I really want to worry about is the sides. Now, AB is going to go with LP. So I'm going to circle AB and I'm going to circle LP. I also know they went together because the biggest side in one figure has to go with the biggest side in the other figure. All right? So that means that the 18 and the 12 are going to go together. And now remember, these are rectangles. So the opposite sides are congruent, which means I only need to really check the 2 in orange. Well, let's show that sides, or let's check to see if sides are proportional. So I'm going to come up with my ratios. I have 2 different ratios I'm looking at. I have 32 over 26, the circles that go together. And remember, since I started my ratio with this rectangle in the numerator I have to put 18. 18 goes with 12. Now let's find those scale factors. Let's check that division. 32 divided by 26. Ooh. That's a weird number, so I might do the division the other way, and I think that'll look a little bit better. 26 divided by 32 and 12 divided by 18. If we do those divisions, I get 0.8125. And I get I get 12 divided by 18 is not 0.8125. I was just assuming there. It is 0.6 repeating, okay? So what that means is these 2 ratios have different scale factors, which means sides are not proportional, which means no, they are not similar. And I have my work to show it. Okay? Good luck on your homework.